morning, boys and girls. So glad to have you with us. Today, Miss Gal is going to be talking about the prodigal son, one of my favorite parables taught by Jesus. In fact, this parable is known all around the world. It's affected culture. People refer to the prodigal son. It's a term because Jesus told this story. It's affected the world and the way we think. But listen to Miss Gal, and then we're going to come back with some of the kids who have done the memory verse video.
Hi BTC Kids. I'm going to tell you today another parable that Jesus told. And this one is called sometimes the lost son or sometimes the prodigal son. And you can find it in Luke chapter 15 verses 11 to 32. So Jesus continued. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son spoke to his father, and he said, "Father, give me my share of the family property." So the father divided his property between his 2 sons. And not long after that, the younger son packed up all he had and he left for a foreign country. So here's his bag with all his money in it, and here's the father and the son saying goodbye. So this is the son and this is the father, and I'm just touching the father and he's watching his son, and his son is just going off into the distance, and maybe he thinks he's going to have an amazing adventure. Okay, so off he went to this foreign country, but what he did was waste all the money that he'd been given on wild living. And eventually, every single piece of that money was gone. Everything was wasted and gone. Then the whole country ran low on food, and the son didn't have what he needed. And so he went to work for a man who asked him to feed his pigs. And eventually the son got so hungry that he wanted to eat the food that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Then he began to think clearly again. He said, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough? And here I am dying from hunger. I'm going to get up, go back to my father, and I'm going to say to him, 'Father, I've sinned against heaven and I've sinned against you, so I'm no longer fit to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. As he walked home, the most amazing thing happened. While the son was still a long way off, his father saw him. He was filled with tender love for him, and he ran to him." We're going to come back to our magnets again now, and here is the son coming back, and the father sees him from a long way off. Here's the son, and here's the father running to his son. And what's going to happen with our magnets this time? The father ran to the son. He hugged him, he threw his arms around him, and he kissed him. And the son said to him, "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you, and I'm no longer fit to be called your son." But the father said to the servants, "Quick, bring the fattened calf, put the best robe on him, and put a ring on his finger and the sandals on his feet, and let's have a feast and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, and now he's alive again. He was lost, but now he's found." So they began to celebrate. But the older son was in the field, and he came near to the house, and he heard music and partying and dancing. So he called one of the servants and said, "What's happening?" And the servant said, "Your brother has come home. Your brother was lost, and now he's back, safe and sound." But the older brother became angry. he refused to go in. And so his father went out and begged him and he said to his father, look, all these years I've worked for you like a slave and I've always obeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours wasted all his money on wild living. Now he comes home and you have a party for him. My son, the father said, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad. This brother of yours was dead and now he's alive again. He's lost and now he's found. So that is the parable of the prodigal son. Do you know what prodigal means? Actually, it's got two meanings. The first meaning is to waste what you have, to spend your money recklessly and not care about anything you have, and to treat things as if they're not worth anything. But the second meaning is to have or give something really, really generously. So what you have, you give to others really lavishly and generously. So a lot of people think that this parable is called the prodigal son because of the son wasting all his money. But it's also about how the father was prodigal, how he was generous and lavish with his love. You see, the father did a few things that no father in those times would normally do. For a start, he ran. Let's just see him running again. He ran to welcome his son home. And in those days, grown men didn't run. They were meant to walk with dignity. Only children ran. And also in those days, if a son behaved like this son had done and wasted his inheritance, then everybody in the village would think very badly of him. Do you know what they did? Well, they would all gather around him and they would break a pot, a bit like this pot, at his feet. And what they were saying was, you don't deserve to come back and be your father's son anymore. You're going to be cut off from everyone in your village and in your family. And then the young man or whoever it was would have to go and never come back to that village again. But this dad loved his son so much. Not only did he run when he wasn't supposed to, he ran so fast that the people in the village didn't have a chance to break that pot at his feet. And he was saying, this is my son. I love him and he's not dead to me. So this story is really also about the prodigal father, the father who loved his son so lavishly. And the magnets, this is a bit like us and God. So imagine this is you and me, and this is God. And we can be people who run away and do bad things. And look what God does. When we turn, we say we're sorry and we come back to God, He runs to us and He hugs us and He loves us. He loves us no matter what we've done or how bad we think we have messed up. He's always ready and waiting to welcome us back when we turn to Him. Isn't that wonderful? And this is a picture that I love. And this is an artist who's taken the story of the prodigal son and the prodigal father. And look how much they're hugging each other. Just imagine that's God putting His arms around you today. So, just to remind you, our memory verse for this series is from James chapter 1, verse 22. And it says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. For more activities on this story today, go to the BTC pages on the Bromley Town Church website for children and have a look and see what you can find there. I'll say goodbye now and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Now we have some of our BTC Kids reciting the memory verse. You can say it with them.
Hi guys, it's Anisu here. I hope you're doing okay. I'd like to recite the memory verse. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. James 1:22. Bye guys.
James 1:22. Do not merely listen to the word and deceive yourself. Do what it says.
James 1:22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Hello guys, I'm Audrey. Hope you're all doing well. I'd like to tell you the memory verse. James 1:22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. Bye.
Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. James 1:22.
James chapter 1 verse 22. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. Bye, Bromley Town Church. I love you. We will see you.
Now that we're done with the memory verses, we want to end with our final song, which is One Thing Remains. And this is a perfect song after the prodigal son, because one thing does remain, and that is the love of God, the kindness and the mercy of God. God will never change. So let's worship God today as just our Savior who will always be there.
Higher than the mountains that I face,
Stronger than the power of the grace. Stay constant in the trial and the change. One thing remains.
One thing
remains.
your love,
Never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me.
your
Your
love,
love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me.
your
Your love never fails, it never gives up.
never runs out on me. Your love, on and on. And on and on and on and on it goes. For it
Overwhelms and satisfies my soul.
and I'm
Never ever has to be
death and in life. In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. Children, you sing, my debt is paid. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love, your great love.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being with us. If you want to participate in the Memory Verse Challenge, once again, you need to videotape yourself and send it in to the BTC Facebook page, the private one, or you can email it to us here at the church at office@bromleytownchurch.com. And email that in, and it must be in by October 31st, the end of the month. In the beginning of the month, we are going to have the raffle or the draw for some candy and sweets. So we'll look forward to that first week in November when we give away all that candy to one of the people who steps up and does the memory challenge. All right, have a great day and look forward to seeing you soon.